I need to tell you about something I've never really said out loud before. It's the one thing that still pops into my head in the middle of the night, when everything gets quiet. And it's not about some deal I lost or a goal I missed. It's so much simpler, and so much heavier than that. It's about a person I love, and how I failed him. This is the story of my single biggest regret. I'm finally sharing it because I truly believe that if I can help even one of you avoid ever feeling this way, then all of this will have been worth it. For me, that person was my grandfather. He wasn't just my grandpa, he was my anchor. In the chaos of figuring out who I was, his house was always this quiet, steady place I could go. We had this ritual every Sunday. No matter what, I'd go over and we'd just talk. He'd tell me stories about his life that felt like they were from a movie, and I'd complain about school or my friends or whatever drama felt so world-ending at the time. He never dismissed it. He'd just listen, nod, and offer this little piece of wisdom that somehow made everything make sense. He was my biggest believer, long before I ever believed in myself. He saw something in me that I couldn't see yet, and he never, ever let me forget it. But then, life started to speed up. I graduated, got my first real job, and suddenly I was juggling deadlines and social commitments and trying to build this life I thought I was supposed to want. Those Sunday visits became the first thing to go. I'd call him instead, promising it was just for that week. "I'm just so swamped," I'd say. "Things are just crazy right now." The call started to get shorter, more rushed. I'd see his name pop up on my phone and think, "I'll call him back after this meeting," and then completely forget until days later. I'd text him a quick, "Sorry, so busy, talk soon," and not think twice about it. The truth is, I became complacent. I had this unshakable, totally naive belief that he would just always be there. He was a constant, like the sun coming up. I figured there would always be a next time, a next weekend, a next holiday to really sit down and have a proper catch-up. I was so focused on building my future that I completely took for granted the foundation he represented. The big turning point came when I landed an incredible job opportunity, but it was on the other side of the country. It was everything I thought I had been working for. I was ecstatic, terrified, and so proud of myself. One of the first people I told was my grandpa. I drove over to his house, bursting with the news. He hugged me so tight, and he told me how proud he was of me. He meant it too. But later, as I was rambling on about my new salary and the city I was moving to, I caught his eye. And for just a split second, the pride was gone, and all I saw was this deep, profound sadness. It was a look that said he knew everything was about to change. It was a goodbye, and I saw it, clear as day. But I was so wrapped up in my own excitement, so blinded by this new chapter, that I made a choice. I chose to ignore it. I told myself I was just imagining it, that he was just tired. I pushed that look out of my mind because acknowledging it would have meant acknowledging the cost of my dream. So I left that day with a wave, promising to visit all the time, knowing in my gut that it was a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. I was already gone, and we both knew it. The new city was everything I thought I wanted. It was loud, fast, and demanding in the best and worst ways. My days were a blur of new faces, unfamiliar streets, and a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety that I mistook for ambition. I was building the life I had talked about, but it felt less like living and more like performing. In the middle of it all, the connection back home began to feel like a thread I was desperately trying to hold on to, but it was slipping through my fingers. The time difference became my favorite excuse. "It's too early to call, he's probably eating dinner." Or, "It's too late there now, I don't want to wake him." Our texts, which used to be daily little updates about nothing important, became sparse. My replies were short, distracted emojis sent from a grocery line or between meetings. The warm, familiar rhythm of our relationship was replaced by the cold, sterile chore of a calendar reminder I kept snoozing. Call Grandpa! The "I'll call you tomorrow's" I promised so easily turned, without me even realizing it, into silent "I'll call you next week." I'd think of him often, a sudden, warm thought in the middle of a stressful day, and I'd feel a pang of guilt that I quickly buried under a new task, a new email, a new excuse. I was so busy building a life that looked impressive from the outside that I let the most important parts of my interior world fall silent. Then, one utterly ordinary Tuesday, the call came. It wasn't from him. It was from my mom, and I knew from the first fractured syllable of my name that the world had just split into a before and an after. He was gone. It was a heart attack, sudden and final. There was no warning, no chance for a last-minute rush to the airport, no dramatic scene at a hospital bedside. There was just a silence on the other end of the phone that was louder than anything I had ever heard. The phone felt cold and heavy in my hand, and all the sound just drained out of the world. The presentation I was working on, the traffic outside my window, the hum of my computer, it all just vanished into a high-pitched ringing in my ears. The foundation I had always taken for granted, the one I thought would be there forever, had just crumbled into nothing. In the days that followed, the sadness was a given. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket I expected to wear. But what I wasn't prepared for, what truly gutted me, was the regret. It wasn't an emotion. It was a physical force, an avalanche that buried me alive. It came in waves, each one bringing a new, devastating. I should have. I should have called last Sunday instead of binge-watching this show. I should have sent that funny meme I saw that reminded me of him. I should have flown home for his birthday instead of saying work was too busy. I should have visited just once, to sit in his quiet living room and tell him about my life. The memories of our last conversations played on a cruel loop in my mind, and I analyzed every rushed goodbye, every distracted every time I glanced at my watch while he was talking. I had traded those moments for what? For answering a few more emails? For impressing a boss who wouldn't remember my name in a year? I had confused being busy for being important, and I had bartered the sacred, irreplaceable currency of time with someone I loved for the hollow reward of productivity. The weight of all those missed opportunities, all those moments I chose something else over him, was crushing. It was the heaviest weight I have ever carried, because I was the one who had put it there, one neglected phone call at a time. The success I was chasing felt like ash in my mouth. I would have given every single accomplishment, every bit of progress, for 5 more minutes to tell him I loved him, and that he was the reason for any good thing I had ever done. Grief is a brutal teacher, but it's a thorough one. In the quiet, aching emptiness that followed, a single, devastating truth became the only thing I could see clearly. I had been chasing all the wrong things, measuring my worth by all the wrong metrics. I learned, in the hardest way possible, that with the people you love, time is the only currency that truly matters. And the brutal, unforgiving reality of that currency is that it is completely and utterly non-refundable. You can't earn it back, you can't save it up for later, and you certainly can't get a loan for more of it. Every moment is a finite deposit into the account of a relationship, and I had let my most important account sit empty for so long that it was permanently closed. We all know this intellectually, of course. We know life is short, but we don't truly believe it until we're faced with the stark, irreversible evidence of its brevity. I was now living in the after, and the before was a collection of moments I could never get back. In the aftermath, I started to really unpack the excuse I had worn like a shield for all those years. I'm just so busy. I repeated it to myself, to him, to my family, until it felt like an unassailable fact of my existence. But sitting alone with my regret, I had to finally be honest. Busy. is a myth we tell ourselves to avoid the harder truth. It's a blanket we throw over our choices to keep us from seeing them clearly. The truth is, it's never about being busy. It's always about priorities. Every single thing we do is a choice, a silent casting of a vote for what we value most in that moment. And when I look back honestly at my choices, the tally was undeniable. I had prioritized answering a work email over a 5-minute phone call. I had prioritized scrolling through social media over writing a heartfelt letter. I had prioritized the vague, abstract concept of my future over the tangible, loving human being who was a part of my present. My ambition wasn't a noble drive. It was a thief, and I had willingly handed it everything that was precious. I had chosen the potential of a connection over the one I already had. I confused motion for meaning, and activity for accomplishment. And for what? What did that prioritization actually buy me? This is the part that cuts the deepest. The success I was chasing, the promotions, the external validation, none of it meant a thing. The hole that was left by his absence was a shape that no achievement could ever hope to fill. You can't talk to a trophy. A bonus check can't give you advice. 1,000 congratulatory comments online can't replicate the feeling of being truly known and loved by one person. The cruelest irony is that the memory of my biggest professional achievement, that job I moved for, is now forever tainted. I can't think about that time without the shadow of my regret darkening it. The excitement is poisoned by the cost. That chapter of my life, which was supposed to be a shining example of my hard work paying off, is now inextricably linked to loss. It serves as a permanent monument to my misplacement of what matters. I achieved a goal, but I failed at the thing that actually gives life its meaning: connection. I learned that a life built on a foundation of neglected relationships is a hollow structure. It might look impressive from the street, but inside, it's cold, empty, and echoes with the ghost of every "I should have" you never acted upon. So how do you make sure you don't end up standing where I am, carrying a weight that you never, ever have to carry? It feels like it should be complicated, but it's not. It's actually heartbreakingly simple. It comes down to a series of small, intentional choices that seem insignificant on their own, but together build a life with no room for this kind of soul-crushing regret. The first thing I had to learn was to stop waiting for free time to magically appear. That's a fantasy. Life will always fill the space you give it. The only way to guarantee that the people you love get your time is to literally, physically schedule it. I'm not kidding. Open your phone's calendar right now and block out 30 minutes this week. Label it "Call Dad," or "Coffee with Sarah," or "Write a letter." And here's the most important part. Treat that block of time with the same unbreakable respect you would treat a meeting with your CEO or a doctor's appointment. You wouldn't cancel those for something trivial. You'd move mountains to be there. The people who are the foundation of your life deserve that same level of commitment. They are your most important appointment. Scheduling feels clinical, but it's not. It's a deliberate act of love. It's you saying, "You are so important to me that I am carving out a space for you in my life and protecting it from everything else." Then, there's the 5-minute rule. This one has been a game changer for me. How often do you think of someone, a friend from college, an aunt, an old mentor, and you have a warm feeling and you think, "I should reach out to them," and then you immediately forget? That thought is a gift. Don't waste it. If the action that thought inspires would take less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. Right in that moment. Don't put your phone down. Don't tell yourself you'll do it later. See a meme that reminds you of your friend? Text it to them right now with a "This made me think of us." Remember it's your cousin's birthday? Send a voice note singing happy birthday off-key right from your car. It doesn't have to be a novel. It just has to be a pulse, a little signal across the universe that says, "You crossed my mind, and that was a happy thing for me." Those tiny, 5-minute investments compound into a wealth of connection. They are the threads that keep the fabric of a relationship strong, so it doesn't fray when life pulls you apart for a little while. We also have to let go of this idea that connection has to be a big production. I used to think I couldn't call my grandma unless I had a full hour to devote to a deep, meaningful conversation. So I never called. That's perfectionism, and it's a trap. The goal is not perfection, it's presence. A 10-minute phone call where you are fully listening, not scrolling through emails, not watching TV with the sound muted, is worth infinitely more than an expensive gift sent out of guilt or a 3-hour visit where you're distracted and stressed. Put your phone on airplane mode, step outside, and just be there for those 10 minutes. Ask one real question, and then actually listen to the answer. That is what people feel. They feel the quality of your attention. They remember that you were truly with them, even if it was just for a few minutes. It's not the length of time that matters. It's the depth of it. Finally, and this is how I try to live now, I had to learn to honor my past by investing in my present. My regret over my grandfather is a part of me. I can't change it, and in a strange way, I don't want to forget it because it's my most powerful teacher. But I don't let it paralyze me with grief anymore. Instead, I use its energy. That sharp, painful memory of what I lost is the fuel that makes me the person who always picks up the phone. It's the reason I'm now the one who plans the reunions, who sends the random "thinking of you" text, who will drive an hour for a 20-minute coffee. I can't go back and fix my mistakes with him, but I can pour that love and attention into the relationship I am so incredibly lucky to still have. I can be the anchor for someone else that he was for me. My biggest regret became a compass, and now it points me, every single day, toward what truly matters. So please do this for me. Not later, not when you finish this video, but right now. Just hit pause. Let everything else fall away for just a moment. The notifications, the to-do list, the noise of the day. In this quiet space, I want you to think of one person. Just one. Who is it that just flickered across your mind? The one you've been meaning to call, the one you keep saying you should check in on, the one whose face brings a warm, maybe even a little aching, feeling to your heart. Maybe it's a family member you assume knows you love them, but you haven't actually told them in too long. Maybe it's an old friend from a chapter of your life that feels closed, but the connection doesn't have to be. Maybe it's a teacher, a mentor, someone who saw something in you once, and you never really thanked them. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Now, I want you to send them a message. It doesn't need to be profound or long. It doesn't require an explanation or an apology for your silence. Just a few honest words. Type out, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. How are you really?" Or record a quick voice note saying their name and telling them a memory you cherish. That's it. That small, seemingly insignificant action, that tiny pulse of connection, could be the thing that changes everything. It could reignite a friendship. It could mend a small tear you didn't even know was there. It could be a light for someone who really needs it. And more than anything, it could be the thing that saves you from ever feeling the way I do. Don't wait for a sign. Don't wait for more time. This is your sign. The time is now. Don't be like me. Be better.